I'm the policy review committee. And pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
George Andrews.
Present.
Jason Goldstrand.
Present.
Keith Parka
Present.
and Debbie Kulik. Present.
Need a motion to adopt the agenda for April 28th with the members of the committee reserving the right to add to the agenda, take further action as the committee deems appropriate.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the minutes for March 17th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on, policies for discussion, new business, policy 252, dating violence. It's a new policy.
So if I may, we had brought this to the policy committee in the March meeting, and under guidelines, complaints procedure, we had talked about which adult we were going to choose. As we had some internal discussion here, we said all of them. That we want our students to have access and be comfortable to report any of their concerns, and that that individual would then report it to the building principal and start the investigation.
Okay,
Sounds good.
I think that was what we were looking for, right? That was our
Yeah, so
objective.
we updated that, so that's the only change from the March meeting.
Any other discussion on that one?
Perfect.
That's exactly what we were looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's all
The
that.
only other change was the reporting, right? During annual.
No, that's
That was on
staying the
page-
same.
It's on the page, the next page other than after the three.
So from the March meeting to this meeting, the only thing that changed was I don't have a page number, but under complaint procedures, who we were reporting it
It's
to.
into the- Yeah.
And we brought it down in grade level too. That's another one we talked about.
Okay,
But we don't have a student handbook anymore?
we have a code of conduct.
And we die.
Okay, that is right. That is it, right. Okay.
It's redundant.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, policy 824, maintaining professional adult student boundaries. This one, the word on page 3, we're adding the word legitimately administered by an athletic trainer, which is accepting massages or offering or giving massages other than in the course of injury care, legitimately administered by an athletic trainer, coach, or healthcare provider. We're adding that word. That's not suggested by PSBA. Is that
That's
right?
quite a word.
We're adding that.
Right.
We-
Okay. Then
And
the
this is the same, we reviewed this.
Yes, we
policy,
did.
Yeah.
So we reviewed it and I can't remember, I
The
refreshed my
concern
memory.
was under electronic communications that we were concerned about adding the word send. And that we were controlling the social media communications right here of our students and adults. Bottom left. Yep, that was a concern. And Attorney Brown is supposed to be here to help us go through this, and he is running late. And 3 dots, he's here. On property.
Okay,
So
well then let's put that aside. We'll come back to that one. Or do you want to, anyone? This policy, I had a lot to talk
Number
about this policy before because when it comes to social media in the year 2025, it's a little differently than it was when it first came out. And it's just the fact that we're saying what our staff can and can't do on social media. I mean,
on their personal social media accounts. And then there's a whole section here about exceptions. So if you.
right, I understand that,
Yeah.
but there's a definition to what is personal, what is school district related.
If it's a school district account, that's. school
I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning if they the way this policy is reading. what worries me is if a student is communicating to a professional person in our district on social media, that person is a professional person. They are acting as whether they're on the clock or not.
This policy exists because professionals have not acted professionally in the field of education. I'm not saying specific to East Stroudsburg area. Here's your book. Come on up. You're gonna join us. Good try though. Haircut and everything.
Wow.
The good
You
news
sit right
is
next to me if you like.
you're on.
Yeah.
They're wrong.
No,
On.
he's
You're
on.
on.
Oh, he's on.
You're on. You're up next.
So I hear you. I do want to highlight, this is not a new policy.
I understand.
This was in existence. And I do think we do need a policy setting boundaries between professionals and students, because sometimes the lines get blurred.
So hypothetically, a band director or a chorus director, I'm not using any particular school, sets up a Facebook page for that group
Mhm.
that the parents are a part of. Now that's becomes a district sponsored thing.
Mhm.
It just worries me with where this is limiting what they can say to people, I think.
Not what they can say.
Okay.
I'm trying to
Only
help understand your
personally.
concern.
Only personally, like one-on-one,
Well,
right?
I think.
So
maybe
if
I'm wrong
said
here,
te
Keith. Hold on, maybe I feel like this might.
give me the
clear it.
teacher's approach there, Jason.
When you identify personal account, right? If I, being an educator in, say, East Stroudsburg, and I run a club or an organization, and I create that account in, say, let's just flavor of the day, Facebook, right? And the students then join that or join that account. Is that personal or is it school if the school doesn't have control of it?
I would say it's on behalf of the school, and I'm
Okay.
fine with that. What
Okay.
I don't want is your personal account
Understood.
of where you're taking selfies of yourself at the beach with a glass of wine. Making assumptions. Not that you would ever do that.
It would be.
So I think that's the concern. I think the concern is that, if you create an account, that it's still considered personal, even though it has to do with the district, even though that it might not go through, say, Mr. Forsythe's office or whatever. So as long as that is understood that's not personal
Correct.
as opposed to my personal account. Okay.
Does the district then have the ability to be an administrator on that account? Because it reflects an activity associated with the district, so that someone monitors it to just make sure someone doesn't go.
We are currently not in that position. And if I were to say, if we would need somebody to monitor the social media accounts of all district related events, it would be like
A new job.
We
four,
need more than one
Full-
person.
Yeah, more.
Right,
more-
like-
You'd be more than one, you'd be.
yeah. Because I would say we leverage that pretty well as a
But you
district.
could be responsive to any complaint about that.
Should there be complaints, then
Yeah.
yes, we will go
Okay.
looking for it.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's the one line that's bugging me.
Go for it.
Electronic communication with students shall be for legitimate educational reasons only.
Okay.
So said student reaches out to said teacher and says, hey, by the way, congratulations on this. I understand you had a baby. Congratulations. That's not educational. If that's limiting, that one line, like, it's just limiting everything to school and that's it. And I know this policy's been in effect, but this is a whole new era of East Stroudsburg School District that we're looking at everything now, and I'm appreciative of that. I just want to make sure that we're leading in the right direction.
Let me ask you this, if, say, the same teacher had a child and the student through school email sent, congratulations, I heard you had a child. as opposed to sending it on my private account or the teacher's private account, congratulations. What would be the difference between those two? I think that's what you're trying to figure out.
Shouldn't be.
Because if I send that personally if I'm the student, I send that personally to the teacher on their personal Facebook account, that would be different in my eyes than sending it to a teacher through the educational product, which we have, which is the district's email server.
And we are setting boundaries for healthy relationships.
Mhm.
We are not, no one is trying to control building positive rapport.
But that's what, right.
So as a teacher who has a baby and a student reaching out, we're not on that. However, saying, hey, let's meet on Saturday night at the Sherman at 9 o'clock and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what we want.
Okay, I mean, I get that, but like, if you have, I
You know what?
understand that, but not that
But
particular.
that's what he's trying to be.
I
clear
understand,
up.
well, I'm trying, but like, where do you draw the line? If it says one thing, one of the things for years, our policies have said something and we've sometimes said, oh, well, that's an exception. No, the policy says this. So, and for something like this, it's impossible to create a policy that
I
that
think
meets
there's a
every.
difference between building a healthy relationship with a student and an unhealthy relationship with a student. And I think that's our job as administrators to understand the difference.
Okay.
Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, so Maggie told me we were having this conversation last month. So what I did was went through the cases because you have the obvious example where an inappropriate relationship develops over social media. And we all know that. And I would agree with you, there's probably easier ways to police that particular scenario than a blanket prohibition. But that's not the only case, that's not the most common case that comes to court from teachers or student-facing staff conversing over social media. So let me just give you, there's a handful of categories that they identify, and these are real cases. So 1, a teacher providing counseling via private messages late at night raised concerns about blurred professional boundaries, even though no explicit misconduct occurred. So that resulted in litigation for a school, even though the teacher really did nothing wrong other than counseling. A teacher liked and commented regularly on certain students' personal posts, not others, leading to parent complaints about unfair treatment and bias and grade discrimination in the classroom. Right. All these cases are nonsense, but
They still exist.
they still exist.
And they still cost money for the school district.
That's right.
I get it.
A teacher accepted student friend requests and students then accessed posts where the teacher criticized district policies, made jokes containing profanity, alcohol, drugs, leading to community outrage.
I agree with that one.
Teacher was accused of harassment after persistent direct messages to a student about missed assignments. Although intended to encourage, the tone was perceived as aggressive and inappropriate. And that's even school related, but if you bug them in the classroom and then they get home and it's on their Instagram and it's on their Twitter, all of a sudden the lawsuit arose. And the last one I have is a teacher shared memes mocking, quote, lazy students. So not identifying any student, just I assume the way teachers chat with each other in the teacher lounge, right? Some students felt targeted and bullied when they recognized themselves in the context. That's the court summary.
Yeah, I see myself in that.
Right. And so in all of those, the teacher, to my mind, at least from the court summaries I read, is not doing anything wrong. Is not doing anything that I would expect administrators to discipline them for. It's just that the personal nexus that was created caused problems for the district. And
Chris,
that's,
can I go so far as to even say, based on other cases that are real even here in the past, the teachers in all of these cases did nothing to go outside or violate. I mean, they were well within, I should say, their first rights. All of these things well
Well,
within
that's
them,
my point.
and not in a
That's-
protected forum. What we're trying, I think, to protect them from is stepping into a protected forum with them. Is that accurate?
well, like my concern is the idea of teachers doing nothing wrong. Because look, it's not ideal that a teacher drinks about getting messed up on a Saturday night with their friends, right? Like, that's nothing illegal about that. There's really nothing bad about that. But they've invited students into this arena, and now they're seeing adult conversations.
Mhm.
We don't want our teachers to not have adult friends outside of the school. We want them to.
Right.
But then we just gotta keep these two worlds apart.
Okay, well, if it,
Without
the,
affecting.
the pleasure of the board, let's proceed, I'll just. Say what I
We'll
I mean,
keep going.
But we have to-
It definitely should be a line.
I just,
We're gonna move right along.
okay, thanks, Deb, I'm just. It's, you know, in this day and age. In this day and age, teachers and students have. Relationships as far as, you know, friendships that they've developed. And this says I can't talk to my students. This just limits what I can say to my students technically, if you look at it that way.
I will just say personally, as an educator, I have received numerous friend requests from students that I had, and I do not accept any of them.
And that's
After
okay,
graduation, it's
but
all
Jason,
done.
I get, okay, I
After
get
they're
that one,
done
I
and
get
they're
that
gone,
one,
that's different.
I get that one, and that's not what I'm questioning.
And I don't even.
All
post
these
it.
Facebook groups out there, if you read
But the
these
group-
things,
Right, the
these
group,
groups out there,
is
when you have
different.
groups.
right,
The parent organizations, the East Stroudsburg
Right.
area community
different
page.
and that's why
one-on-one.
we're saying that's
One-on-one.
different.
On that next page.
Yeah, that's why we're saying that's
Specifically
different.
says that
One-on-one
exception-
is different.
Yep.
Alright.
So that's what I was trying to
that it allows for. those
distinguish
changes.
between, there was two different things there.
And just so we know that the pages, as they're referred to now in the meta arena, right?
Mhm.
Is the pages are managed by any individual profile, whether they're within a district or without. But the difference there is if you and I manage a page together and we have, and it's for the district, and we allow students or invite students to follow that page, while they can see the content we put there, they cannot necessarily see the content on our timelines because we don't have to make them our friends to add them there.
Okay. Okay, moving along, as Deb says.
The only other thing I'd add is that I think, in my opinion, this policy protects teachers' First Amendment rights in this sense. And in the one case, I don't think I saw the politicians involved, but the teacher had a lot of like, you know, for example, Donald Trump is terrible stuff on their personal site. That is absolutely within their First Amendment rights. They should be allowed to say that. That's fine. But then they got sued because the student responded with something, for example, hey, you know, both my parents voted for Donald Trump. And then the kid got a B or a D or something. And then they sued for bias and discrimination. Just keep the two worlds apart.
Okay. All right. Moving along, policy 218.4 gangs. It's a review only. We're no change. And did anyone, anything about that one? Okay, moving along, searches, policy 226 searches.
All
Now,
right, can
that-
we explain this one first?
Well, I was
Go
gonna,
for it,
I
go
was
for
gonna,
it.
just so you know, I questioned this morning. In the first few pages, everything's struck out. That's because that is our old policy.
Mhm.
Rather than to cut and paste it and put ours in, Deb took ours out and said, we're getting rid of it. And then she put in the PSBA directive, which is the next part under purpose on page 4. 4. Starts out with purpose, goes down, and then we then cleaned up with the guidance of our council. We took out some things. Do you want me to read what we took out, or is it
So,
explanation?
We took out random and general searches.
Right.
Because that's actually covered under a different policy. We also, hopefully the board is in alignment with this, took out searches involving removal of clothing or examination beneath clothing.
I saw that.
I am completely comfortable with never having our administrators have to do that.
And
So we took all of that out because it is a violation, in my opinion, of rights. And and I believe I called
yeah.
Attorney Brown and said, why would a school district do this?
And basically, the other policies are in our metal detecting
Correct.
policies.
Exactly right.
Everything's there.
Yes, exactly right.
And I agree totally with that. Anyone else have a problem with that?
No.
And thank you for not liking that one. I didn't like that one either.
Yeah, that was,
All right, going back. Now I go
Attorney
for-
Brown, if a school district has that and asks you to be the solicitor, I would just kindly decline that up.
Is absolutely best left to law enforcement at that stage, no question.
Policy 802, school organizations review only, no changes.
No.
Any questions to that one? The only thing question I have is why do we not have our cyber academy listed as one of our schools?
Same question. Why is not the Cyber Academy in there?
Because it's a program and it's addressed in policy 100 series. And this operational policy requires the district to set the grade ranges for each of the brick and mortar buildings. And Cyber Academy is a program that operates under several, if not all, at this point of those buildings.
So it doesn't need to be in there, is what you're saying?
Correct, yes. It's not recognized by PDE as a school.
It's not its own,
It's a program.
Well, another.
it's a program within each of our 10 schools.
Our students that are in cyber ISACA are actually students of East Stroudsburg High School South. They're just taking their class at ISACA instead of taking their classes. They're prospective.
Bushkill Elementary.
Yes.
or
Right.
And we have to maintain with PDE regularly what our school organization is in what's called their EDNA database. In order for any changes to be made there or for that to be submitted regularly, they require that we also present to them the policy or board action that substantiates how we're organized, and this is the one we go to.
Okay. Moving right along, school calendar is actually a typo. It should be school day and emergency closings, which is policy 804. That is also, the only thing we're adding is district's mass notification system. Do we really submit to the local radio these days? We still,
Oh. My gosh, it takes an hour to contact everybody that we say we do.
okay, I'm just saying like,
And
This day,
I would say
I'll
there
read
are
them.
several members in our professional organization that request that we even do more radio station. And we've respectfully said, no, we think we do enough.
okay. Not that radio stations are not viable.
No,
Right.
there are great ways of communicating, but the mass communication system hits everybody.
Right, correct. And some people hits them like 17 times.
Therefore, just-
If you're a board member with a student and another person that works in the district and.
I'd rather over communicate than under communicate.
We get-
And if they
And then
have
you have a
not
business
paid-
line in your house
They
and a
have
personal
not paid the
line.
bill, there is no mass communication,
Correct.
All right.
or if they're in a white space.
Any
They
other,
have
any
white
other,
spaces.
any other
If you
questions
don't
or
know, it's
statements?
your own fault.
Correct.
Does anybody else, this might just be a growing up in Lancaster thing. Whenever I hear the phrase 2-hour delay, my brain automatically says modified kindergarten.
Yeah,
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about?
yes, I do.
Okay.
That's back in the olden days.
Yeah, for the half-day kindergartens, but I just remember sitting there and,
My past school district had a half-day kindergarten.
yeah,
So when I would say 2-hour delay in modified kindergarten.
I just remember them saying that blah, 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 school district, 2-hour delay, modified kindergarten, over and over and over again. That's all.
Policy 817, workplace threats and violence. We're repealing this policy. I'm assuming this is somewhere else because that's why we're repealing it, or are we just repealing?
I'm looking.
Are we putting threats under something more exciting?
That's what I'm saying.
We're allowing it now.
Okay,
So something interesting I found with this, it's not apparently in the rest of the PSBA policy manual. We had one. And as we reviewed it, we had the same question. And I noted that there's absolutely no legal reference for this policy within itself. We also address any of the items that are spoken of here in our policy 317, which is employee disciplinary infractions and procedures. And we also then have other related policies under harassment, intimidation, and so forth under policy 104. So it seemed like it was redundant of other policies without a legal requirement. So here it is.
a paper,
Okay,
we'll
Sounds good.
save a page.
questions? Okay. Moving right along. Policy 822, automated external defibrillator, AED, review only, no changes,
One of my favorites.
which I think is, yeah, it's good. They should be there. And 825, state mandate waivers, review only, no changes. Did anyone have any questions on that one? 905, citizens advisory committees. I think they're a great resource for our school. Any questions on those? Nope. 908, relations with parents, guardians, review only, no changes. Questions, concerns with that one?
Nope.
Moving right along, 912, relations with educational institutions.
I got a question on 9 not a question, just a comment.
Okay.
Maybe we should read this at a board meeting to the parents, we know what, it's a good policy, but I don't know how many parents read policies at all. So if we let them know we have this, it may not be a bad idea. Just
Read policy 912,
908.
908.
908.
Hold on.
I think all of the meat,
community.
all of the meat of that's already in the sort of student conduct and the
Yeah.
other stuff that the district sends home.
Mhm.
That they,
But if we bring it up verbally, I say at a meeting, it may be a good idea, because we know it's in the code of conduct, and there again. Parents, a lot of parents don't read the code of conduct.
So when we.
they sign
approve-
paper saying they do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
When we approve
I
this-
agree.
When we approve.
It's just
this
like
at the
terms
board
and
meeting,
conditions.
Maybe you can talk about how important.
During
this is about-
discussion.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Excellent.
This will be either, what,
Next
today's board
month.
meeting or
Next one.
next one, I
Yep.
won't be there.
All right, with
Send us.
One of us will bring it up.
Jason will.
Yeah,
Mr.
we'll bring it
Costa
up.
will bring it up.
I got you.
Thank you.
All right, with that in mind, I don't see it in here, but this is usually we do public comment, isn't it? There's
Public
nothing.
participation.
Oh, there it is. It was, I thought it looked at this all as one big thing here. Public participation, is there anyone online, Anthony?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any public here? You want to say anything, Anthony
Steve,
or
Anthony?
Steve? Speak up, forever hold your peace.
Anyone?
All right, moving right along. Motion to authorize, I need a motion to authorize and direct the administration to post the following items, which we are posting. Policy 252, policy 824, policy 218.4, policy 226, policy 802, policy 804. Now, do we have to still post even though repeal, we still have to post a repeal, right? Policy 817, policy 822, policy 825, policy 905, policy 908, policy 912, policy 914, with noted revisions for public review during the month of April and subsequent board action in May.
So move.
Second.
Any questions?
Did you list the no change ones?
Yes, we do that.
To repeal would require 2 appearances, correct? And subsequent agendas.
Sure. I'll take your word for it.
You didn't hear my question.
So, it's
Well, I
okay
don't-
that we do that?
Sure, it's absolutely okay, but we don't need a first reading if you're not changing anything. It's,
We just want to show the public that we're doing our due diligence.
that's
to
fine.
check the
Yeah,
policies.
no problem.
This is a busy group.
We are a busy committee. We're
Gotcha.
just as
Gotcha.
busy as EPR and we're not as popular. Right.
The room was.
I know it was, I watched, it was, okay, our next meeting will be at 4:30 in this room, on May 19th, 2025. I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I guess.
Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you for grudgingly.
All right now.